we're filming. So what's going on YouTube? Welcome to today's video. As you saw, I think the last video hasn't gone up yet, but it's gonna go up. Probably check back. We finished the strength block, tested my strength, saw where we're at in terms of like 2s, 3s, 2 to 3 rep sets. Now, back on the volume, baby. So we're doing sets of 15 plus. I think actually today's gonna be like around 12 for the majority of exercises. So bumping up the volume a lot. It is my kind of intro week or two, because last 2 days ago I did my training session with the new block of hypertrophy, the very high reps. I was close to puking because it was just so novel to me, or a very different transition. So bringing things up a little bit slowly, probably gonna be doing a set less or two than I'm gonna be doing probably once I get a couple weeks into this training block. So doing something I never thought that I would do. We're starting off actually haven't used ever this machine, but we're gonna use the Smith machine for squats. But these squats are gonna be different than like your normal squats. My main focus with this is really just to hit my quads. So I'm not trying to do too much hip travel back. When you have more forward lean and your hips go back, that's more glutes, because your glutes bring that forward. So this, I'm primarily just focusing on mainly having the only thing get stressed too much. It's gonna be my quads. We're trying to make it sure that we're going very deep, getting a good stretch, and hitting that for, I think today's gonna be sets of 12. Supersetting that with some bicep curls. We were doing seated hammers this block. And then we got a lot of fun on our hands today, and I'm gonna probably be puking while Amon is laughing at me from behind the lens. Almost forgot to mention, we're rocking the Man Priest today. Man Priest for the win. So we're gonna start off with these squats. Let's get it going. Even though Smith machine really taxing doing these high reps, it's gonna take the breath out of you, but it's getting a lot of good quad volume out of these. Now we're gonna do some bicep curls. All right, so some things to think about when you're doing these Smith machine squats, especially because the main focus, what I'm trying to do is, like a barbell squat, you have to kind of balance the weight, so you're gonna have a lot of, you're gonna have your obliques acting, your core is gonna be engaged, because you're just like doing a lot of balance with the weight. Also, usually you have to kind of, again, balance it, keep your center of gravity, so you wanna, usually, you have to bring your hips back a good amount, and you're gonna get a little bit of glute engagement. As you can see what I'm doing with these squats, I'm breaking more at the knees first. So breaking at the knees first, trying to keep upright here to not get the forward lean and get my posterior chains involved. So we're just trying to break the knees forward a little bit, and really we're just mainly trying to close this ankle to get that full stretch in the quad, and then we're trying to straighten out, and that's going to be a lot of quad action. So that's the main goal of this. I'm trying to really focus on hitting some deep quad stretches and just bring it up pretty much. So those are the reasons I'm also experimenting with the Smith machine. It's going to be easier on my lower back, which, as we know, not the best, but it's keeping the load pretty low, especially with the higher rep ranges. But one of the things that's tough with high volume squats, and why I don't recommend it for most cases, especially barbell specifically, is each set's gonna be very taxing, because there's just so much going on in these movements. If you're doing a barbell squat, you're probably gonna be doing a good amount of weight, a big systemic load, so 10 to 15 reps, you're gonna be really cardiovascularly taxed. That's why I would cap you at like the 8 to 10 rep ranges. But because we're really just focusing mainly on the quads, we can probably push out the 12 to 15 rep ranges without just being like toast like I ran a mile. So that's a couple of things to think about if you want to implement this kind of exercise. It's a little bit more, how do I say it? You're gonna have to really like kind of think about how you're moving with this movement to do it correctly. New Hot Topic merch. If you guys don't know like what these shirts are, it's BT21, my favorite kind of artist or group, boy band, BTS for K-pop, and this is Jungkook, who's the one member who lifts a lot. And he just seems like a cool guy. He's always smiling in the music videos. So, cool guy, Jungkook, if you're watching this, because I know you are. You're a good dude. Lanky now that I'm losing weight. I'm less chunky, she said. Sadness. So that does it for superset 1. We did 4 sets. Again, this is kind of gonna be like an intro week, so instead of doing like 5 sets, we're gonna be doing 4 for the first 2 supersets. Then probably the later exercises will only be 3. Hopefully bring that up over time as I acclimate to this kind of volume again. But that's doing it for the curls and the squats. Next up, hip thrusts. All right, so we're gonna get into hip thrusts right now. We're gonna be doing 4 sets of 12. So the rep schemes throughout the week right now is 15, 12, and 10. So higher rep ranges, but I mean, previously we did sets of 20, but also that's when you start getting to the range where you could be stressing out cardiovascularly instead of by the muscle being what fatigues first. So that's something to always keep in mind when you're doing higher rep ranges. You don't want your lungs to be kind of your inhibiting factor. You want the strength of your muscles to be. So that's why maybe not going into the 20, 30 rep ranges with your compound movements is always gonna be a good idea. So keep that in mind. So sets of 12 today. The reason why I'm going with 405 is because I tried to do this for my sets of 15 and failed miserably, and ended up hitting 12. So we're gonna try to do that again today at 4x12 with 405. Still gonna shoot for the total of 50 pull-ups. It's just at 12, so that's cool. So we're gonna try to get the total of 50, maybe bumping up that towards 60. Of course, as we get acclimated in this block, but for now, keep it at 50. Did 4 sets of 12. We're gonna take 5 seconds and then do 2 more to hit 50. All right, next up we got superset number 3. We're gonna be doing our favorite from the last training block, which is gonna be RDLs, and we're gonna be supersetting that with 20 rep goblet squats. So when I did these like 2 days ago, I was pretty close to puking, so it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully my cardiovascular system is getting back on the up, but we're gonna be doing sets of 12 with, sets of 12? Sets of 12, because we're doing 15, 12s, 10s for RDLs in this training block. So we're gonna be doing 3 sets of 12 with 225, or at least trying to. And we're also gonna be stepping up the goblet squats. You can't really see what weight that is, but it is 95. Actually it's 150, but we're gonna be doing sets of 20 with that as well. So if you don't see me puke, I'm probably not trying hard enough. But let's get started. That's set number 1. Probably gonna take a little bit more rest in between the RDLs, Romanian deadlifts, and the set of goblet squats. Just get a little bit of a breather because I'm really out of breath right now. That's set 1, we do set 3 sets. All right, so we're about to start the second set. So that's helped me a lot with RDLs, especially with feeling in my hamstrings, is when you're getting like probably towards where the bar is approaching your knees, you're getting a little lower than your knees, try to do that part pretty slowly and don't really like speed the last quarter of the movement into the floor. 2 things is gonna happen. You're probably gonna not get as much of the stretch, not get as much time into the stretch on your hamstrings, which is the valuable part of this movement. Then also you're gonna hit the ground pretty hard, and then you're also not gonna get that concentric portion as well. So what I would recommend is probably slow these reps down a little bit so you can really get the feeling of the stretch in your hamstrings. You're like, ooh, we're doing work, then go back up after you touch the ground lightly. So that's something to keep in mind. I think in the last set, first half, I was going a little fast, slowed it down, and then I felt the pain of the set. But we're gonna get into the sets 2 and 3. Feel that stretch makes it so much harder. Here's like rep like 7. Whew. Got a little lightheaded, but rep like 7 or something, you're feeling that stretch and it just makes it so much more painful. So really, if you could focus that in, you're gonna get so much more return for your time spent doing Romanian deadlifts. So definitely focus on that. Slow down that stretch portion. In a minute. RDLs and goblets are done. Actually, the goblets I don't feel like as dead, like lung wise. So those are done. We're gonna get into take a couple sets of leg curls, leg press, and maybe calves. Gotta think that through. Then we got some arms. So we're on the back end, the last 10 yards. So we're gonna finish out strong. Riding on a tractor, lean on in my blade. Comment down below if you know the song. All right, so next up we're gonna do some leg curls. We're doing seated, because last time we did prone. So we're gonna be doing the seated leg curls, and then we're also gonna superset that with some 2-leg leg press. We won't have the issue that we did last time with the single leg, because we're not gonna use that machine, because kind of you always hit the top of the machine because there's not too much length for a taller person. So we're gonna be using leg press behind a mom, which you'll see in a little bit. So we're gonna do 3 sets of 20, and let's get started. Actually, we're gonna do 3 sets of 17. Biggest tip for that, and what I like just kind of noticed during that set, try to keep your torso as kind of still as possible. You really want the only thing to be moving is kind of that angle at your knee. Only thing you want to be doing any work is your hamstrings. That's when you're going to feel it the most in your hamstring. So just try to keep everything pretty much static, and that's when you're going to get probably the best feel for that mind-muscle connection. But we're going to superset. We got to work in with somebody, which is fine because what's that called? Gym etiquette. So we'll show you that next set. The way to properly train your quads is probably the way that does not avoid pain. Not in the way that's going to be joint pain, but doing good effective quad sets is going to hurt to an extent. Like the first sets of those squats suck because they're pretty painful. These suck because they were deep, they were painful. So definitely, you'll usually see you can push yourself more than you think with your quad sets. So definitely keep that in mind. Push yourself, try to always progressively overload. So pretty much that's the majority of the leg portion for this video. We're gonna be getting into some arms because I wanna walk out of here with a solid arm pump. So we're gonna get into that right now. All right, so we're about to start our arm superset. So the new one for lower day, actually something I don't do commonly is incorporate a lot of resistance band training into my actual like planned out workouts. Reason being is it's hard to quantify, so have a really objective form of progression. So you may add some space between you in terms of like how much stretch is in the band, but we're just gonna be working on it and trying to progress over time and try to get a little bit more stretch with that band. So the first exercise we're gonna do is barbell curl. As you see, we're doing some really heavy weight. We're loading up this barbell. We're gonna do sets of 17 today. Then we're gonna be doing probably one of my more recent favorite tricep exercises, and that's gonna be your tricep kickback. A lot of times people mess it up. They try to get too much momentum with like dumbbells and stuff, where they bring it here and let this part of gravity swing into it. But we're gonna be using resistance bands, so that's really good at making sure that all you're moving is just at the elbow. And that's gonna be getting really good contraction, really good mind muscle connection, but just isolating that muscle very well. And then we're gonna finish off with the lateral raise, which we're gonna do with bands as well. Maybe do a brief hold at the top, and then we're gonna be seeing how that goes, and then trying, of course, the way we're gonna be looking to progress over the weeks of this training block is spreading my legs a little bit more and more on the band, which we'll show you once we get things started. That's how you increase the tension and therefore progressive overload. So we're gonna get started with this. I'm gonna see if I can actually, I haven't done barbell curls in forever, so we're gonna see if I can get 3 sets of 17 today. Way harder than I was expecting. That was a pretty good set, and actually it's really easy to keep your elbow kind of in the same spot, so actually I really like that, surprisingly. But now we're gonna be getting into the tricep kickbacks, so let me take a step back. And let me tuck this in. So the way that we're gonna do this, again, with any resistance bands, we should have the video of our full body resistance training day, but you can see so you have the stretch on the sides. If I take more of a step out here, it's harder to pull. If there's more, then it's gonna be easier. So that's how you can mess with your progressive overload with resistance bands. Control that space at the bottom. So we're gonna make it pretty easy to start. This is a thicker band. Alright, so set of 17. That's really good because you can isolate the muscle very well. So I'm feeling it really well in my tricep every rep. Now we're gonna try some lateral raises. Maybe put in a little bit more space between my legs. So that's one set, and I'll probably add a little bit more space between my legs on the lateral raises. But that's like something that it's gonna be a lot of like, you gotta play with it with resistance bands because you can pick your band, then you gotta pick the distance between your legs, but then also just try your best to be consistent and try to progress that resistance over time. All right, so we're gonna finish things up with a couple sets of calf raises. We'll probably do the 5 sets of 20, but you really can't spice these up too much, so we're gonna do the same thing that we have been doing, so that's gonna be pretty normal concentric, but try to slow down the eccentric, so the kind of stretching portion. So we're just gonna dive right in. Also, got some pretty sweet socks from Hot Topic yesterday. It's a unicorn pusheen, because I don't have like short socks, so super masculine.
Yep.
Alright, so that's going to do it for today's video. You saw we did some legs, a little bit of arms, and finished up with calves. So that's pretty much everything for this video. We're, I think, a little bit under 31 weeks out from the main competition. Coach also says he may have been wrong with his estimate of where we got to be because things really turned up pretty quickly. So he was saying 190, 195 will be stage weight, maybe closer to 195, but we'll see. We're just going to keep on dropping. So that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This is my second lower day of the week. It's kind of my middle of my mid rep range, high volume day. But that's going to do it for today's video. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep it flexible. I'm out.